Welcome to Social 3.0, the podcast dedicated to helping you build your B2B brand. This week, I am thrilled to be joined by Erika Robinson, who is the UK General Manager of Constant Contact, of which we'll get into that more in a second. Erika and I met, I think, a few weeks ago now at the UK launch party of Constant Contact, and I was fascinated in their go-to-market approach and how they're launching their product and business in the UK. So we're going to get into that. I think there's some fascinating stories we're going to dive into around Erika's background and how they're planning on scaling Constant Contact for UK small businesses. So let's get into it. Erika, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing, firstly?
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and I'm doing well.
So good to have you on. So you have a really interesting background. And like we were saying before we flipped on recording here, is that for so many people we have on this show, their careers never really ended up how they expected. It was always a bit squiggly and they kind of just said yes to opportunities, and where they've ended up is a very interesting place, but not where they thought they would be. And I think your career is fairly similar from what I can at least deduce from your LinkedIn profile. So give us a sense into your career journey, if that's all right, Erika.
Yeah, sure. Well, I started really in finance. Before that, even I actually studied graphic design and advertising at university, and then went straight into finance and trained to be an accountant, and had a 10-15 year career in finance roles in big corporations like Virgin Media, but also always in very commercial roles, and it kind of naturally lent itself to moving into strategy after that. So I moved into strategy roles, and then that kind of evolved into go-to-market strategy. And so, I worked at companies such as Intuit, which supported small businesses. And then I had 2 children. And at that point, I was juggling a busy job and I wanted to do something different. So I decided to set up my own small business and become a small business owner. So I set up a children's play centre in Kingston upon Thames in southwest London. And that was about 5 years ago now.
So what inspired you to set up that business then? Obviously, you've got 2 kids, so you're very close to that industry, but like, that's not usually most people's approach when they've had 2 kids. Usually it's like, I'm going to spend time with my kids and like forget work for a bit. But you took the opposite approach where like, I'm going to dive in and do one of the hardest things and start a business.
Yeah, I mean, I probably was a bit naive. I did think that setting up a small business would give me a better work-life balance than a full-time career. Wasn't quite the case, as any small business owner knows. I just felt there was an opportunity. When you're used to working in big companies, when you're young, free, single, in your 20s, you go out to nice places, and then suddenly you find you have children, and the places to go are in industrial estates in the middle of nowhere, and they don't have very nice coffee and terrible food. And I just thought that I could do something better, and everybody wanted something better. So I thought I'd set out and try and create that. But as we spoke about just before we went live, it was quite bad timing to set up a children's play centre, because 4 months after opening, COVID hit. And I was closed for a fairly long time, actually. And children's play centres were put into this category of being one of the very last businesses to open. So even the bars and restaurants opened months before us. And when we could open, there was very restricted opening hours. So initially it was a scary time when you just invest everything into a business, staff. I only had enough money to last me about 2 weeks of being closed when we first closed the doors. But fortunately, there was help available. I could furlough my entire team and so they still had money coming in. Yeah, I worked with my suppliers, and we all supported each other as much as we could. And we got through it, fortunately. But then also, I look back on it and I think it was a brilliant learning curve for me, and a great opportunity, because not many people are fortunate enough when they open a business to literally put everything on hold 4 months later and review and evaluate what worked, what didn't work, make changes to the business. And that's what I was able to do. I had 4 months of learnings, and the business was doing well. It was successful. It was always busy. It wasn't as profitable as it could be, or my business plan said it would be, but then I could make the changes necessary. So when I was able to open again, it was, doing even better. And I even borrowed more money during COVID times and got the builders in and updated the play area. So I wouldn't have closed the doors for a couple of weeks to get the builders in, only 4 months after opening. But while I was at home twiddling my thumbs, not really twiddling my thumbs, trying to homeschool as well, I had the opportunity to move into a strategy role working for Headspace. And that was through connections that I'd built up. And I jumped at the chance and then realized I didn't need to be full-time on the business because I already had a brilliant team in place that actually knew more about running a children's play centre than I did and were really capable of doing it. And that's what I've done ever since, and had a career and the business on the side.
And that business is still running there?
It's still running. It's been going for 5 years. I've been fortunate to have an amazing team that really, my core members have been in place for the whole 5 years with me. So I was lucky to get the right talent early on and see them grow with the business as well.
I imagine that's given you such deep empathy for small businesses as well, especially in a lot of your roles. You've been focused on building products to serve small businesses. But like when you've been there and done it, that gives you that extra unfair advantage, I expect.
And that's what's opened up so many opportunities for me. I hadn't really appreciated the skill set that you build in building your own small business. That's really in demand in big corporations, especially those that service small businesses. So having that, like you say, the empathy and understanding and being able to relate to small businesses really helps, and it makes me really passionate about helping other small business owners as well, which is why I'm doing my job now.
Yeah. So how did the opportunity to become the UK General Manager of Constant Contact materialize, and what excited you about the opportunity?
So I'd started to kind of broaden my career. I worked in finance and strategy, and then I really moved into go-to-market, so starting to support sales and marketing as well. So I had that breadth of experience, but then focused on the small business segment. So it just felt like a natural next fit for me.
Yeah, and that makes a ton of sense, and also like speaks volumes of like having those squiggly careers, as I've kind of described it in the outset of this part of the conversation. Like helps you get such a rounded experience of business overall, like starting from finance, doing a bit of strategy, now into go to market, being a small business owner yourself. Like sometimes we see this as a bad thing, where jack of all trades, master of none, or like a generalist is not a good thing. But actually, I think increasingly, as the world changes in increasingly rapid pace, being a generalist is actually a superpower. Don't know if you've got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, I've got my kids now that are thinking about what they want to be when they grow up. And I think you don't choose one thing anymore. That's not what the world's like. You can have completely different careers through your lifetime. We work for a good number of years, and I don't regret any of the roles that I've had or any of the opportunities that I've taken, because they've all shaped who I am and how I think about things. And even, when I mentioned what I did at university, and that at the time when I started doing a finance career, I thought, well, that was a waste of time, a completely different degree. But actually, that was brilliant in terms of thinking outside the box and being innovative and creative. That's been a brilliant skill that I learned early on as well. So everything I've done, I think, has shaped my career and how I view things now.
So been a very exciting time for you. So 6 months in or thereabouts to Constant Contact, and you've been rather busy, right? Talk us a bit about like what you've been doing.
Yeah, so we officially launched on the 23rd of October. And so before that time, I was really setting up the operations, building out the function locally, setting up an office locally, building a sales team, a local partnerships team, an onboarding team, a marketing function as well. So we've really kind of built everything locally here in the UK, in London. We've launched a big marketing campaign. We had a big launch party, as you know, and which was a lot of fun. We brought Mr. Motivator in. We did some fun flash mobs at Victoria Station to raise the profile of Constant Contact at the time of launch. So yeah, it's been very enjoyable over the last few months.
So yeah, let's dive into that in a little more detail around that kind of initial go-to-market, because there's a broad suite of activity that you put together. So there was some out of home, there was the activation stuff you mentioned, launch party. So let's dive into a bit more detail here, because I think there's a lot of goodness here and a lot that other businesses can learn from in terms of thinking like multi-channel, thinking about like above the line, below the line. Because sometimes, we can, as digital marketing folk, we can over fixate on like one single channel or social media to drive growth. But actually, some of the things that you've been doing shows that thinking a little bit more broadly is advantageous too.
And a key goal for us initially is to raise brand awareness. I mean, we've got thousands of customers already in the UK that have just grown organically, but we have a huge presence already in the US, where one of the major players, one of the biggest and original pioneers in email marketing with a 30-year history. But that history isn't really known over here in the UK. So we really needed to build that brand awareness first and foremost. And we've done that through, the out of home campaign. So we were on London buses and we were on the tube and, through paid social as well. And we're also working with a lot of experts and influencers in the space as well, but those that are like genuinely interested in the product and genuinely supportive of small businesses. And we're also working with big organizations that already support small businesses, because we really want to become part of the community locally, the small business community. So the likes of Enterprise Nation and Small Business Britain that already have that network of small businesses locally.
We're going to talk more about because you truly understand who you're trying to serve, the partners and influencers and communities you've chosen speak volumes to that. But thinking about some of the out of home stuff, the tube ads, the bus ads, and doing that activation in Victoria Station, how did you measure the effectiveness of that? And appreciate it's driving awareness. This is just awareness thing. We're just going to spend. We know we need to do that because that's what marketing is. It's all about awareness and cognitive recognition. But was there a certain metrical goal that you were striving to with the out of home stuff?
Yeah, it was brand awareness. And to be honest, we haven't had the results back yet. But what we do know is through paid search, for example, more people are searching for Constant Contact. So that brand search has definitely jumped up a lot over the last few months. So we're definitely seeing an impact there. We just haven't had the full results back of the awareness survey, but I look forward to seeing that because we have done so much, and definitely I'm hearing lots of people mention Constant Contact now, or being familiar with it when I don't immediately have to explain what the company does when I meet people now. So I'm already seeing a difference in that short amount of time.
I love it. And to be honest, we spend so much time on these shows in other episodes, like trying to talk up the importance of brand for B2Bs and brand marketing, things that are not just about product features and, the traditional product marketing, and helping others understand the importance of brand and why it needs to be invested in alongside your kind of traditional, more activation and engagement oriented activities like paid search, etc. So it's great to see. And that's why it always stood out to me that you were doing this. So let's talk about the community activations, because I think we often talk about the benefits of communities, etc. on these shows. But I think your approach to this is particularly smart. So from what I deduced, there's a third person being in that launch event. There was a bunch of individuals that you got in a room that have strong communities that focus on small businesses, and that's what their audiences were, and use that as a product showcase to get them bought into the product. And these are people already that understood what you're trying to do at Constant Contact. So I'd love for you to get a bit more detail around who were those people that you had in the room? What's the kind of focus and what's the the objective around that kind of like launch group of people that you put together at that launch party?
Yeah, I mean, I would call them all friends of Constant Contact,
Love
and
it.
some of them we've had long relationships with, long beyond or before the launch. Others that are more recent that we've built up over the last few months, and we found that we just had common ground, and actually we all had shared interest to support and help small businesses, but we found that we could help each other as well. So we have done lots to support their communities in terms of educating their community, also sponsoring events that they want to hold, and they can help us as well in spreading the word. And they're all really genuinely excited about the product and can see the benefit for their communities, which I really like. It's not just a case of paying influencers to talk about us. We're building that kind of long-term relationship with these influencers and experts.
Yeah, that piece is the most important but most misunderstood. It's like that long-term value. And it's not like a paid media channel, which so many people see influencer marketing as. It's like, you've got an audience, we've got a message, but your approach is flipping that on its head. We want to be part of your community. We want to help you, and we want to work together. That's what I'm deducing from how you're kind of explaining it, right?
Exactly. It's so much more genuine that way as well, I think. And yeah, we're in it for the long term. We want to really support these groups, these communities, and that's what we're intending to do.
Love it. So is there plans to scale this up and continue to involve that? Is there like a team that's focused on finding more influencers? Yeah, it'd be great to know how that evolves beyond launch into like, general like run the business day-to-day activation.
Yeah, I mean, we get lots of people that want to work with us, and we also have a marketing agency that are out speaking to many of these influencers. But the key thing is, I think, is not we're not kind of actively looking for loads more. We're just building deeper relationships with the ones that we do have at the moment, and seeing how we can kind of strengthen that relationship and support their communities even more.
Beautiful. Makes a ton of sense. And it's just quite refreshing to hear, to be honest, Erica, a really sensible approach that I think influencers, we all know how powerful it is, but like when they become an extension of your business and invested in the shared success that you have together, I think that's really where the magic happens. And yeah, your approach is very much capturing that. I love it, basically, as you can tell.
Yeah. So we also have an affiliate program as well that has been really successful in the US, but we're starting to build out locally in the UK as well, where there's a benefit to them in sharing the word about Constant Contact, in that they get that ongoing financial benefit as well as supporting their community.
Definitely. I totally see that. So some of the other partners that you're working with too, because essentially you want to be part of the shared narrative for small businesses in the UK. So influencers, and your affiliates and ambassadors are kind of part of that. Then also your other partners, I don't know how you describe them, or marketing partners. You mentioned Enterprise Nation, Small Business Britain. If you're able to share, I don't know if like you're able to share some of the things you might be working on together, or you have worked on with those, or the overall objective for working with partners like them.
Yeah, we love working with Enterprise Nation, Small Business Britain. We have a shared goal, and we are able to upskill the digital expertise of small businesses through working with them. We're able to educate through series of webinars and things like that. So there's a brilliant opportunity for us to share the word and get the word out about Constant Contact and what we do, but also just support the small businesses with where they really need that support. Because let's face it, most small business owners are not marketing experts. They go into business because they have a passion in a certain area, and they find that actually they have to do everything. And so that's where we partner really well with them, because we can provide that expertise and the tools that they need to help. So we've done loads of things with Enterprise Nation and Small Business Britain. We have sponsored webinars and whole series of webinars. We have run events. We've sponsored competitions and award ceremonies. It's all just about becoming part of that small business community.
So outside of what we've spoken about already, were there any other like marketing channels that you're investing in either as part of the launch or ongoing? Any other areas that you're focusing on to drive growth from a marketing perspective?
So paid social is something that we've launched within the last couple of months, and that was the first time in the UK. And in fact, it's not something we did much of in the US either. So
Interesting.
it's great to see the impact that that's having. That's across Meta and LinkedIn, and we're trying a whole different range of approaches. So some of it's brand awareness, some of it's mid-funnel, educational content in the value of email marketing and things like that. And then also, just sharing deals. We've got, Black Friday deals running, and so getting the word out about things like that as well.
Nice, because I've started to see some thought leader ads around Constant Contact appearing on LinkedIn too, which is a fairly new feature on LinkedIn. So ability to sponsor individuals' posts that they've created for you. So it's really nice to see you leveraging some of the latest things that you can do, because again, that speaks to that whole kind of word of mouth, small business narrative methodology that you've been talking to, right?
I mean, that human touch does so much better than just a plain ad. So people stop scrolling and they want to hear what someone has to say. So we're finding that works really well.
And it's so interesting, like listening to you talk, because there's just like a common thread across everything that you've discussed so far, like rooted in deep empathy of small business, having your own experience there, and how that's then manifested in both that deep understanding of who you seek to serve, which is just absolutely like root one and the most important like principle for any business, like a deep understanding of their audience and who they seek to serve, and how that's then manifesting through those influencers and ambassadors and the partners that you're working with to have that message. Both, and then the point you made is so important, Erika, is like people will only care so much what Constant Contact as a business will say, but like how you're mobilizing the voice of the small business community. And that's the thing that kind of builds word of mouth at scale. So all that to say, it's really nice to see that kind of like that common thread from what you've done in your career and what you're doing now, running through it in that small business focus. And that kind of takes us to the third part of this conversation that I wanted to get in today, Erika, which is like your overall mission and vision for what you're trying to do for small businesses in the UK and how Constant Contact helps that too.
Well, you mentioned it yourself that our overall mission at Constant Contact is to help the small stand tall. And I really love that. I think it's actually really, really rare in a big business like Constant Contact to purely focus on the small business. So many want to move mid-market and upmarket, and they think, they want to go for the more profitable customers. It's just such a powerful mission, and we're fortunate that we're able to focus in that area and do that. I think it really is down to the fact that we have a 30-year history and have been in business a long time. It would be very difficult for a new business doing what we do to focus on the small business. You need to build up the scale. Obviously, you need to be supporting a lot of small businesses for the business model to make sense. And so we're fortunate that we are able to do that when many others aren't so fortunate. And there's such a great team at Constant Contact that really believe in that mission and work very, very hard to deliver on it. So it's great to be part of that.
So in terms of like how you're going to be helping the small business community, so of course, email marketing has typically been the focus. So where does your product particularly benefit small businesses? It'd be great to get into that as well at a high level.
Well, what differentiates us is that we are really, really simple to use. So it's putting marketing tools in the hands of people that don't have that marketing experience. It brings everything together. So you've got your email marketing, your social media marketing, online advertising, SEO and CRM and events as well. So it really simplifies everything, and it also incorporates AI, which I know is a bit of a scary word for some people, but I think it's definitely small businesses now are a lot more receptive to it, and we're seeing it's basically creating a supercharged version of small business owners that they're able to leverage that kind of level of support. So as an example of what Constant Contact can do, it can create entire marketing campaigns, multi-channel marketing campaigns for you with just a simple statement, a description, a goal, put in complete a few simple questions like what is the duration of the campaign, what is your tone of voice, and then it creates it for you across all of your channels, so across your email, across all your social platforms that you use, and events if that's relevant to your campaign, and it schedules them all for you. So it's things like that would take a small business owner days, and it can be achieved in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I was playing with that feature, as you know. I thought I'd do a little tutorial video on it, and it really impressed me, actually. I spent a lot of time building tools and technology, as you know, and I thought like the guided workflows really beneficial. And I think you and I have had similar missions over our lives in lowering the barriers for small businesses to stand out online. And any business that I see like going after small businesses and trying to educate them and help them stand out in what is an increasingly crowded space is something that I absolutely adore. And that multi-channel campaign and the guided workflow through that, same, as you say, enter in your parameters, and it's going to build you a structure as to what a multi-channel campaign might look like. That's incredible. I mean, it's so valuable for small businesses where it's easy to get lost in the complexity of marketing. So anything that can paint the art of the possible for you is hugely beneficial, I find. And so you've done a huge amount, right? So you're 6 months in to Constant Contact, thereabouts. Launched it, the UK launch for October, as you said, and recruit those influencers and the community and the partners and the out of home stuff. How will you know when you succeeded? You're only at the start of this mission right now. So what does success look like?
Well, I want to be one of the biggest players in the UK. I'd love to see us grow by many multiples from where we are now. But I'd love to also see our brand awareness way up there, at least double by this time next year. So we'll see. But we're definitely not slowing down. I know it's been a busy 5 months so far into the role, but we are continuing at pace and intend to throughout all of next year.
Well, I'll be here watching the journey, that's for sure, Erika. So yeah, congrats on everything that you've achieved in your career so far and the mission that you're on, which is wonderful to see. Is there anything else you want to add in closing?
No, I think just try us out. It's a completely free trial that's available to everybody at constantcontact.com. So if you're intrigued by what we do, give us a go, try the free trial and see if it's right for you.
And if people have any questions, probably the best place to find you, LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, it's Erika Robinson, and constantcontact.com for the product.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I've absolutely loved chatting with you, Erika. So thank you.
Thank you so much.